Hey there, everyone. Today we're diving into some pretty important stuff that affects our daily lives, and we'll do it in a super casual way. We're going to chat about some key legal protections like HIPAA, GLBA, CCPA, and a few others. By the end of this video, you'll have a much better idea of what these laws mean for you and your business. So let's jump right in. HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. First up, let's talk about HIPAA. Now, HIPAA stands for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's a bit of a mouthful, but don't worry, here's the scoop. Basically, this law is all about protecting your healthcare information. Imagine you just visited the doctor, and now your personal health details are floating around without your say-so. Not cool, right? HIPAA makes sure your healthcare info is confidential and secure. It gives you rights over your own information, means providers have to treat your info like it's top secret, and if they mess up, they can face some serious consequences. So knowing about HIPAA is pretty essential if you're a patient or even a healthcare worker. GLBA, Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. Next up, we have the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, or GLBA for short. Think of GLBA as your financial privacy bodyguard. This law requires banks and financial institutions to keep your personal information safe and sound. It's like saying, hey, you can't just share my info with the whole world without at least giving me the heads up. Under GLBA, financial institutions have to explain their info sharing practices to you, and guess what? You can even opt out if you don't want them sharing your info with third parties. Plus, they've got to have solid security measures in place to protect your data. This law is critical for keeping consumer trust intact in the financial world. CCPA, California Consumer Privacy Act. Now let's hop over to the West Coast and check out the California Consumer Privacy Act, or CCPA. This law is all about giving California residents more control over their personal data. If you live in California, you have the right to know what businesses collect your data, how they use it, and even ask them to delete it if that's what you want. CCPA is a big deal because it pushes businesses to be transparent about their data practices. So not only is it important for individuals, but it's also a wake-up call for businesses to be more responsible with personal information. White-collar crime overview. Let's switch gears and chat a bit about white-collar crime. This isn't your typical crime drama. White-collar crime involves non-violent offenses committed for financial gain. Think tax evasion, insider trading, and fraud-up. All those sneaky moves by corporate professionals to fill their pockets. What makes white-collar crimes tricky is that they can be complicated to prosecute. Perpetrators often use complex transactions to hide their actions. And when they get caught, the penalties can be severe. Hefty fines, mandatory payments to victims, and even significant prison time. Precedent law. Now let's touch on something called precedent law. In simple terms, it's the idea that courts should look at past decisions when handling similar cases. This helps ensure that everyone is treated fairly and consistently under the law. Courts typically follow the lead of higher courts to establish a legal framework. However, there can be exceptions. If someone shows a precedent was wrong or doesn't apply to their situation, it could be overturned. Rights of publicity. Moving right along, let's discuss the right of publicity. This right means you have control over how your name and likeness are used, especially for commercial purposes. If someone uses your face or name to sell something without your okay, they could be in big trouble. In fact, there are specific tests to see if your rights have been violated. First, your identity must be used. Second, it must be for commercial gain. And lastly, there's usually no consent involved. So protecting your image in the age of social media, super important. Copyright law basics. Now, let's dive into copyright law. Copyright is this cool law that gives creators control over their original works. Whether you're an author, musician, or artist, copyright helps protect your hard work from being used without your permission. Imagine pouring your heart into a song, only to find someone else cashing in on it. No thanks. Copyright only protects the way you express your ideas, but not the ideas themselves. So it's essential to respect these rights to keep creativity alive and flourishing. Fair use doctrine. Lastly, we need to chat about fair use. The fair use doctrine lets you use copyrighted material under certain conditions without seeking permission. Think of it as a way to thrive creatively while respecting creators' rights. There are four factors involved in determining fair use: the purpose of the use, the nature of the work, the amount used, and the effect on the market. For instance, using a short clip from a movie for a comment or critique, totally fair game, but using most of it for profit, not so much. So, there you have it. We've covered some essential legal protections that affect our lives every day. Understanding these laws helps us navigate our rights and responsibilities as individuals and consumers. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more insights and breakdowns on important topics. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you in the next video.